Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good morning to you once again, and we are back again to serve you the very best. As always, trust us right here at Western Spring Television, the station that says it as it is. How are we? Oh, we all had a peaceful night rest. Morning Spring is the name of the program. If you're joining us for the very first time, and I can show you that it is always, as always, going to be a bumper ride, and you will have cause to enjoy every bit of what we have in stock for you. As always, today. TUNDE IDOWU is my name, at Irresistible TD on Twitter. You can also follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. We are live and we are making it happen on those platforms. Today promises, as I said, promises to be exciting. We will start, as always, with stories making it around from the dailies, and we'll go into the business of morning proper. We'll still want to continue with the aspect of what the EU said concerning the 2023 general elections that took place, most especially the presidential election that took place on the 25th of February 2023. And yesterday, Mr. President PBAT met with the service chiefs. Listening to what Nuhu Ribadu said after meeting with journalists, after the meeting with Mr. President, what do they have in plan? What are the secret things we need to know? We'll probably bring you that report from one of my colleagues that actually did that yesterday. We'll bring you that report, and also we will make sure that it's definitely worth viewing, worth watching this morning. Let's take a short break. When I return, the dailies are here. We will check them out. Stay with us.
Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker, and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best-known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja, and Moremi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history.
Here we go. Thank you. You, my director, and I are saying thank you to you all for being there with us. Let's get down to the business of the morning. And I have about 5 dailies with me. The Guardian, Vanguard newspaper, Daily Trust, Punch newspaper. They are all here, and quite a whole lot of stories making the rounds on from the dailies this morning. One of the major things we will be discussing in the course of this program much later is the aspect of the service chiefs with the NSA, whereby they had a closed-door meeting with PBAT, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday at the State House. What were the things discussed? I know after the meeting, the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, retired, actually briefed the press. And, he was full of smiles, and he had things to say here and there. Well, in the course of this, we'll probably listen to that interview once again. But let's kick things off right now from the pages of Punch newspaper that I have got with me here. The big bold caption on the front page here says, retired general set agenda as Tinubu meets service chiefs. There are riders just below that main plate as well. Criminal activities going down. Tinubu picked best hands. That's credited to Nuhu Ribadu speaking there. And also, retired generals ask service chiefs to cooperate, warn against interference. Yep, all right. That's a major thing yesterday. You can see the picture of all the service chiefs, Mr. President, the NSA, all there. And it is one of the many things that happened during the last administration where we had too much of interference. The court will say this, the agency will say that, and between these, the army, there was so many interferences amongst these people. But looking at what Mr. President is coming up with at this moment in time, that nothing of such should come up, and warning all of them against interference. If the DSS has to do something, it has to be the DSS, let it be. If it's not, we shouldn't interfere. Rather, let's relay information so that we can get the very best out of our security architecture and security apparatus and agencies all over the country at this moment in time. We wish them the very best. But when my guest is seated, we will look into this and see what were the likely things that were discussed yesterday with PBAT there. But you can see they were all there, full of smiles, and we just hope that smile transcends into action. We want to see that. All right, moving further to the bottom strip of the same daily for this morning. UTME top scorer's dad declared daughter's innocent. Innocent demands probe. Yeah, there's been so much controversy concerning that young lady about scoring 369 or something, and rather than the 240 something, the JAM said she got. Now, there is this claim that it was a software she used in manipulating her results. But hey, we discussed this yesterday, and fortunately for me, I had a former student affairs, dean student affairs of a federal polytechnic right here. We looked at what it looks like. Corruption, is it biting hard to the extent to which students these days, the younger generation, are beginning to go to the level at which they are manipulating results at this moment in time. But a company, an automobile company that gave her a scholarship, has said, hey, either way, found innocent or thereabout, found guilty, they will still be able to keep up with the $3 million scholarship given to that young girl. But let's just keep our fingers crossed. We'll always keep you abreast as to what it looks like concerning that young lady there. All right, let's move on to other stories. Single moms, Lagos businessmen circulate more nude pictures. Now that is one very, very irritating thing at this moment in time. Hey, why that? And I keep wondering why the spate of you giving out nude pictures, unclad pictures of yourself to someone, it's not even appropriate. I don't see what's the essence of taking pictures, nude pictures, doing nude videos, and I don't know. Seriously, I wonder why people why would do things like that. That's a little bit immature. I see that as an aspect of not being matured. If I have a business with you, if I have a relationship with you, of course, I can get to come see you. We can get to see each other, but rather via the phone, via the internet, you now begin to send unclad videos, all in the sake of money. Is it just about money? When you are hooking up, you look up to hook up. It's really, really amazing. Right? I wonder, and I just want to use this opportunity for those who are looking to hook up. Let's get this right. It shouldn't be. The society is much more learned than this. All right. Okay. Moving on here. Other stories still making the rounds from the Punch newspaper. TA Bank profit rises by 300%. Okay, that's okay. Pays a dividend. All right. Moving to the top strip here, to the top strip of the Punch newspaper. CBN intervenes as more POS operators implement rate hike. Minority leader PDP writes Akpabio over nomination. We discussed this as well yesterday. I don't know. We just hope the opposition, the opposition in the Senate, will do the needful. Gets whoever should be the minority leader, and let's get them to do the needful and get them started with the business of why they are at the National Assembly. Electric vehicle, NNPCL plans filling stations, charging ports. This is the period where creativity is making it so much in the world today. We have countries whereby they have electric vehicles, solar vehicles moving up these days, and the space at which reliance on fuel, looking at what it looks like here now with fuel, not something you can just double into. Everybody tends to calculate, where would I take my Okada? Where would I take my car? Now, we need to plan properly now, because even at the space at which someone's saying is going to be about 700 naira per liter, it is alarming. But if the electric vehicles comes in, it's definitely going to be worth it. And NNPCL is saying they are planning to come up with charging ports at filling stations. All right, we'll definitely be glad to see stuff like that. Let me move on this morning quickly. And on the pages of Daily Trust newspaper is what I have next here. Okay, the big bold caption on that same Daily Trust for today: renewed rice smuggling threatens local production. Renewed rice smuggling threatens local production. A couple of writers associated to that story said contraband flood Lagos, other cities. Women, youths import through Benin, Niger Republic. It's dangerous. Milers warn. Presidency mom on land border policy. Anchor borrower won't be scrapped. That's credited to a Greek fund. I don't know, because if you are bringing in goods worth millions of naira, thousands of naira, and you get arrested by the customs, and all your goods you've labored to go purchase is seized, and they are contraband, and they get seized by men of the Nigeria Customs Services. What befalls such a person? You've run at a massive loss. That's a massive loss. So I wonder why people still tend to go into such businesses where you know that if you are caught, if you are caught, you will be prosecuted. You might be sent to jail or pay a huge fine. If you're not caught, probably you are the person could probably run away. Then the goods are seized and you can't see them again. So why do we have to just go into businesses where you know that I can't just take it on the streets of Lagos or Oshogbo without getting scared? I just hope the speed at which smuggling and then probably our borders are well manned and checked. So that looking at where they say they pass through Benin Republic, Niger Republic to get into our dear nation, the borders need to be equipped. All right, moving to the bottom strip of Daily Trust newspaper. Tinubu to security chiefs, you must deliver. That is a big word there. You must deliver. Yeah, and Nigerians are waiting, Nigerians are watching, and they are calling as well. You must deliver. The president has reposed so much faith in the new service chiefs he has just appointed. So we just hope they to come up with the very best and do the very best for themselves and for the country at large. All right, on the bottom strip of the same Daily Trust newspaper, why I am still involved in Kano governance. That's credited to a former governor there, Kwakwanso, speaking there. Ex-finance minister clarifies World Bank appointment without presidential approval. On the top strip, TAJ Bank sets new record, pays dividends in 3 years. Wow. Presidential Tribunal admits EU's election report against INEC and Tinubu. We'll go back into that story in the course of this program. We'll look at that as well. All right. Thank you, Daily Trust, for partnering to ensure data journalism. All right. That's a big, beautiful one there. Let's look at other stories making the rounds and quickly from the pages of Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper is here this morning. What do we have? The same story, which is actually common to all the dailies today, is the meeting of Mr. President alongside meeting with the service chiefs yesterday at the Villa. And you have the way Vanguard has put it: insecurity, we will secure Nigeria, NSA assures. Yeah. Let's read. Let me bring out the writers there. Work as a team and deliver. And Tinubu charges security chiefs. Security chiefs won't fail Nigeria. That's credited to the NSA. Nuhu Ribados there. Notes criminal rates already going down. Going down and extinguished totally will be it's actually what Nigerians are waiting for right now. We are looking forward to that. We wish them the very best. It's a tedious task, but it's something that is can be accomplished. So we wish them the very best. All right, moving further, just below that picture there, 53 years after Civil War, Southeast needs new direction. That's credited to Igbo leaders of thirds. All right. 9 rescued, 11 trapped as 4-story hotel building collapses in Abuja. It's been a while we heard that, but all of a sudden, this is coming back, and we just hope the needful will be done. Bread producers serve notice of imminent hike in price. Always been like that. I know one thing for real, that someone like my director who loves to eat bread, if there is a hike, will he continue with bread? But we just hope things can get better, and we just keep hoping and aspiring. But it's on other stories from the same daily Vanguard newspaper to the right hand side of that daily. 10th NAS, tension over principal officers as lawmakers resume today. Tension over principal officers as lawmakers resumed today. Open defecation. Nigeria needs 3.9 million toilets annually. That's credited to UNICEF. We're used to the fact that open defecation, you go around, you see heaps of refuse somewhere, and you find people just moving to that point, defecates. It's actually horrible. But looking at what UNICEF is saying, that Nigeria needs 3.9 million toilets so that this could stop. A country of over 200 million, as stated, and 3.9 million toilets. Wow, that's alarming. Seriously, I wish I would just ask my people here. Where do you have toilets in your house? Your houses? Okay. Or you open defecation? All right. Oh my goodness, man. Oh, okay. The small potty, right? My director is one old man, so I know in his days he must have used that small potty. So, but moving on here, on the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper, banks borrowing from CBN intensifies, rises 140% to 10.35 trillion naira. Wow. Just below that headline on the top strip of Vanguard newspaper, NBA to sue FG over vehicle proof of ownership fee and negotiate with bandits. Ex-Governor Yerima urges Tinubu. Is that needed? Should it be? Wouldn't bandits, terrorists, insurgents take that for granted, that this is a weak government if you have to negotiate with bandits? Because I know one thing for real, the U.S. would always rather just clear out every set of people there rather than negotiate with bandits. But the best thing is, let's see what it looks like. If dialogue is the best option for everybody to be pacified and we don't have cases of terrorism, killings, and maiming, burning of houses and stuff like that anymore, let's do the needful. Yerima, former governor of Zamfara State, he's been there, he's seen what it looks like. Remember what it looked like in his days while he was governor of Zamfara State. But as much as Zamfara is still is not relatively peaceful now compared to a couple of months ago, where it was always a daily thing, and daily occurrence of killing, burnings, maiming, and what have you. Well, we just hope the needful will be done. Moving on, still highest scorer debacle. Jam Mesoma trade words over result. That's the little girl there. You can pick up the Vanguard newspaper amidst other dailies that we have, because it's a common story to all the dailies for today. And Presidential Tribunal, INEC not ready to defend its case, says LP lawyer. Yeah, yesterday at the Election Petitions Tribunal, LP lawyer Levy, I forgot his last name, speaking there. But moving further to the last daily I have with me here, which is the Guardian newspaper. Yeah, let's check out this story from the Guardian newspaper. Economy awaits Tinubu's fiscal direction as uncertainty trails forex liberalization. Commercial banks stop treating BT, PTA, others invisible request. Mr. President, Nigerians are waiting anxiously to know what direction, which direction your administration is actually going concerning so many things. Looking at what it looks like now, it's over a month that your administration has kick-started. So we are all waiting. Which direction is this administration going? What's the fiscal direction? What are the policies that we are expected to have to chart a new course for this great nation of ours called Nigeria? And coming further down a little bit from the pages of the Guardian newspaper. Police warn against use of orderlies as servants. Yeah, You remember the case of a woman who asked her orderly to be washing plates at home. These are uniformed personnel, for heaven's sake. For crying out loud, they should be given disregard. They are not house helps. Probably, yeah, some of them have put themselves in that state, but the point still remains, we need to give respect to those uniforms they put on. That means they carry a country on their shoulder. We need to know that, and they shouldn't be treated as servants anyway, anytime. Other stories still from the Guardian newspaper. No consensus on principal officers. No consensus on principal officers election as Senate resumes. And today we will really look at that and see what it looks like. Who will be where? Who will be where? We will see to that. Presidential Election Petitions Committee admits EU report. CNPP backs observer mission as TMC knocks federal government INEC. Yeah, we'll look at that story as well. Coming further up here, APC crisis, governors, NWC, Pali ahead of NEC meeting. And okay, goodwill messages from the Guardian legends. You want to know that? You can check it out. All right. The publisher's message at 40, Guardian at 40. All right. We wish Guardian newspaper. It's always been one of our favorites. You've always done well, been impactful as well. So say congratulations to the Guardian newspaper for today, and from virtually all the dailies that we have been able to look at different stories. The Punch newspaper, Daily Trust, Vanguard, and the Guardian. When I return, hopefully my guests will be seated, and let's go back and look at what it portends for Nigeria. The report is credited to the European Union. What does this mean for Nigeria? Where do we go from here? Is Nigeria not being painted in the black list of nations and painted terribly black amongst a committee of nations all over the world? It's not really looking too good. And you can trust politicians. The different political parties, they began to come up with quite a whole lot. But the image, it's been painted to about Nigeria to the world. It's just my concern this moment in time. It's not really spelling too good for this country. We just hope we can get things right. But because looking at other countries of the world, not that they're totally they're 100% spectacular, but there is always a way to manage their situations so that you don't have to get to hear this painting this country blue black. But when it comes to Africa, you know what it looks like. We get to be painted down as if we nothing. But I think it's just an aspect of our leaders that have put us in this dilemma, and they must get us out of this dilemma as well. Stay with us. When I return, we will be looking at the issue of the European Union, and also we'll look at the meeting of Mr. President with service chiefs yesterday. Morning Spring is the program right here from Western Spring Television. I'll be back. Please stay with us.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in a deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window without realizing that most scientists are Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi.
And I am Dr. Adeoye Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girl got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Funmilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Funmilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window without realizing that most scientists are Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi.
And I am Dr. IDOWU Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee's Diary, Constitution, and the People, among 6 other books. Bolaige was a colorful politician, elected governor of Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of Afenifere, the Yoruba social, cultural, and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bolaige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bolaige as a watershed character in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best-known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja, and Moremi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Kololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Badamasi Adegoke Adelabu was a prominent figure in Ibadan politics and Western region before Nigeria's independence. He was a key founder of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, a political party that held lofty the torch of liberty for the two West African countries. He carved a niche for himself as a wordsmith and a creative speaker. The nickname Kwenkelemens was a natively corrupted version of peculiar mess, his bombastic English language style often used to score proceedings at the parliament. The author of Africa in Ebullition, a handbook of freedom for Nigerian nationalists, was Nigeria's Federal Minister of Natural Resources and Social Services between 1955 and 1956. He died in an auto crash on the 25th March 1958 at the age of 42. Western Spring Television identifies Adegoke Adelabu as a watershed character in history. Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness in participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history.
Well, we are here to thank Mr. President for the opportunity he gave us to serve our country and to serve his own government. We thank him very much. We also pledge our loyalty to him and to Nigeria and Nigerians. We believe that the choice he made is the right one, the correct one, and we know what he wants for this country. We are going to work tirelessly to ensure that we accomplish that objective of securing our country, establishing peace, stability, and let's get our lives back. He gave us the assurance that he is with us 100%. He told us that we must work as a team and there is a work to be done. He would expect us to deliver. And we are grateful for the opportunity. That's why we are here.
Big task ahead of you, sir.
Yes, and it is going to be done, inshallah.
What's the starting point?
Where we are today. And you can see already things are improving in our country. If you see the record of crimes and activities of the criminals, it's going down. It will continue to go down. We will secure this place. Nigerians have seen the quality of people that are given opportunity. They are probably some of the best we have, and they are not going to fail. They will certainly.
National Security Advisor to Mr. President speaking there yesterday after a closed-door meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Villa yesterday. And assurances about getting things done accurately, perfectly. Yes, that is just one thing Nigerians are looking out for, making sure that the spate of crime in all dimensions, terrorism, either way, is actually brought to the lowest ebb, if not totally eradicated, but at least curbed to the lowest ebb. These days, most people can sleep with both eyes closed for the fear of the unknown. You don't know who probably will barge in at any time. But in the last 1 month or thereabout, yes, there have been skirmishes of trouble, crime in some area, but not on that large scale that we've seen it in the last 1 year or thereabout. But we're going to talk about this briefly, and also still look at the European Union's report over the weekend concerning the presidential election that took place here in Nigeria. INEC has rubbished it, listening to the spokesperson for INEC yesterday, Commissioner for Voter Education, Festus Okoye, speaking concerning that. And most of the things said were false. But let's look at this narrative as well, and let's look at what this means for the image this portrays for our dear nation, Nigeria. But first of all, let's talk about the closed-door meeting with Mr. President alongside the service chiefs and the National Security Advisor. Joining me live on set this morning, it's a pleasure to have a policy analyst, a political analyst, is a politician by excellence. But yeah, I would say probably you watch out for him as soon as Engineer Sheikh Balibi. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Tony. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning. Let's look at the closed-door meeting of Mr. President alongside his service chiefs and with the National Security Advisor yesterday. That's the first time they will be coming together after the appointment on the 19th of last month. What do you make of what must have transpired inside that room for the couple of hours they were there to get yesterday?
Yeah, first of all, it's not the first time we are seeing newly sworn-in presidents meeting service chiefs and all that. But the take-home I have from what happened on June 19 is that those appointments are not skewed towards a particular region of the country like we had in the administration of the immediate past presidents, Muhammadu Buhari. I think that gave a whole lot of people some confidence that yes, we can get. And yes, from what Madam Nuhu Ribadu said, the spate of crime, the banditry, and the kidnapping and all that has really gone down in the last 1 month. We just hope that they will be able to keep up the good work they claim to have been doing in the last 1 month. And again, it's about the first time that I can remember that a retired police officer is the National Security Advisor. To a layman like me who does not have any military background, and to so many other Nigerians too, the feeling is there that, I mean, how would a retired police officer be able to control generals, the military, apparatus and all that? So, and like I said earlier, we wish them all the best. Let's see how everything goes.
What do you think the body language, as the body language of Mr. President said something positive thus far concerning, let's just leave it for now, at the state at which insecurity that has bedeviled this nation over the years. Now that he has come in, he knows that it's a big task ahead. Nuhu Ribadu, his NSA, has spoken about it, that but it is achievable, it's possible, and all these words of assurances brings a bit of respite into the heart of we Nigerians. But the body language of Mr. President, do you think it speaks volume? And his men, because I'll call him his men, he's just brought them in, his men know that they have a task at hand.
Another thing I took away from the video you played earlier before we started the program was that statement, let's get our lives back. It means the new National Security Advisor, Madam Nuhu Ribadu, also knows that Nigerians have actually lost their lives over the last 8 years. I mean, most people are praying that we don't experience such a harrowing period in our polity anymore. But again, I think from the current president's records in Lagos State, is someone that has delegated duties to lieutenants, and also not only delegated, he followed up to make sure that most of the things he delegated are effectively carried out. I hope that age and, all that does not hinder him from doing that now, because President Muhammadu Buhari, the former president, ideally to every Nigerian, looked like a disciplinarian who would not tolerate, but look at the whole can of worms that we've been seeing just 1 month after he left office. So, from Tinubu's records, he delegates and then he follows up to make sure duties are effectively carried out. I hope he can keep that up with the current crop of service chiefs he has to.
And one of the major things he said to his service chief was, look, he doesn't want interferences amongst each other. If you are doing so, because it's so common. And it's one of the things people have seen, that it has drawn these people backwards, the military, the Navy. It has drawn them backward, and it's given edge to the bandits, the terrorists, to be able to, now that they are not coordinated. We have been, with these words, Mr. President is telling or has told his service chiefs, how well do you see this set of people listening to that and coming out with the right results?
It would, they will get results if what Mr. President has told them yesterday, all the rules and all that are adhered to. In the past, we've seen conflicting instructions between the NSA, between the Chief of Army Staff, and then don't forget that this set of service chiefs, they are relatively younger than the ones we have always had. For instance, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General T. Lagbaja, I think is about 55. So he still has a whole lot of... Buhari extended the service of the past services by 1 or 2 years. Like Buratai stayed 2 or 3 extra. So going by that, and the fact that it's also possible under the current administration, it means Major General Lagbaja has at least 5 years in service. He will outlive the first 10 of the current president. So, and the president is relatively old. I mean, he's far older than all of them. So I think things should work better this time.
We wish them the very best, but it would be nice to see more of action than words. We've seen words have always come, but action. And
again, on the IGP, we've seen new IGPs come in and say, we have cancelled roadblocks, nobody should pay any policeman any money. And then within 2 or 3 weeks, you see them back. Just yesterday, I was reading about, I think, the first policewoman to become a commissioner of police in Kwara. You know, these are good news to Nigeria. But like I said, the ultimate goal and the thing that Nigerians are expecting from them is for their lives and property to be secured. We will continue to support them. We pray that they succeed. And then we'll see how it goes.
We pray that you succeed, and let's see how it goes. We wish you the very best, because we rely on God, but we rely on people like you, because you have the technical know-how as to how to get this. Just like Engineer Adebia said, we have no military background, but we just hope and we wish you the very best. Now, let's quickly move over to looking at the report of the European Union as to the presidential election that transpired, that came up in our dear nation on the 25th of February this year. And Tribunal yesterday admitted EU's report as exhibit on the presidential polls. Where do we go from here? Is it worth taking? The European Union came with about 40 observers in a country of polling units that we had about 176,000 polling units, and just 40 observers. That's like approximately maybe 1 per state. And looking at their report, is it worth looking into? Were they being very realistic? Or probably the EU might have followed stories from social media, hearsay, rumors. What do you make of that report?
I'm not a lawyer, but the EU reports, as a layman, is not admissible as an evidence at the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. Ask me why.
Yes.
The judges are not Father Christmas. They will not depend on reports of independent bodies outside the electorate. However, one would have expected the major candidates challenging the election of President Tinubu in ditto former Vice President Atiku and former Governor Peter Obi to actually challenge those areas where violence and the electoral malpractices were so prevalent. But Nigerians are shocked that all we've seen is challenging school certificates, depending on EU reports and all that. And like I said earlier, the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal would not, by chance, use that EU reports as a basis for giving judgments when the judgment day is finally chosen. So, yes, the election was flawed. Every Nigerian, even the president knows that the election was flawed. The EU couldn't have gotten their reports from social media alone. They were on ground. They were not only on ground. There was a portal opened by INEC for results to be uploaded. And we also saw discrepancies. We saw ACATA forms mutilated and still uploaded like that. So such things don't happen in, even in cases where they happen, they are not as prevalent as we had, especially on February 25. And then ironically, what is really confusing the independent bodies that came to observe the elections are that why was it possible for results of senatorial elections to be seamlessly uploaded on the portal, and then that of the presidential election was difficult? And don't forget, the current president is ruling with about 8-something million votes, as against about 16 million that did not vote for him. So things like this are bound to happen. That's why I said I pray for wisdom for him, because he's ruling with the minority of votes that Nigerians, cast on February 25. So for the EU reports, we had a similar report in 2019, and I'm sure nothing happened. So I, for one, I'm not expecting any influence whatsoever based on the submission of any EU reports.
Because I remember the likes of the African Union, ECOWAS, the Nigeria Bar Association, they said, look, this is one of the best elections that came out in Nigeria. Well, now, looking at what the chief observer of the EU Election Observation Mission, that's Barry Andrew, said at the press briefing, he said, the election exposed enduring systematic weaknesses and therefore signal a need for further legal and operational reforms to enhance transparency, inclusiveness, and accountability. What do you make of that?
Perfect. Good advice. But yes, I would say the election we had in February and March, there are mixed feelings towards those two, set of elections. One was that we had an INEC chairman who promised Nigerians on national TV that our electoral process was going to be automated. In that, we're going to use, what was the machine we used? Beavers. And those results were going to be uploaded. But that is not what we eventually had when we had the election. So Nigerians had some kind of confidence in the system based on what the INEC chairman said us at that time. But after the elections, we are back to those days where we say it's who the government wants to win that will win. It's very unfortunate. So this advice of the EU is very good. We should include more transparency. And then if we say we have, yes, we don't have that telecom infrastructure to support uploading all over the country. But I mean, Nigeria today is at least about 90-something% wired.
Absolutely.
So where we should have issues they should be so insignificant that it should not affect the outcome of our elections.
And the EU also accused, he said, that's Barry Andrews, he said, the EU also said the conduct of the election diminished public trust in INEC.
That's true.
But we don't have any electoral body. Generally, all over the world, there are a little bit of flaws, but it might not be
significant enough to change the minds of people. But in the case of February and March, look at what happened in Lagos. I mean, live, we're seeing them on TV. Look at what happened in Rivers and a host of other places like that. Elections should not be in advanced countries, people don't even have to get to polling units. I mean, what is really, like Nigeria is 90-something% wired. What is stopping us from electronically voting?
How soon do you think that can ever happen? Can it ever happen?
It will happen someday, but the will by our current crop of leaders, it's not there. It's not going to happen now, because if it happens now, there will be no way any politician will be able to manipulate the process.
Meanwhile, the special advisor to Mr. President on special duties, communications and strategy, Dele Alake, reacted and spoke about a whole lot. He accused the EU of bias and an intention to impeach the integrity of the 2023 election, which he described as the best organized general election in Nigeria since 1999.
He's doing his job. And that's the truth. The same EU you are attacking and you are discrediting the report and all that is the same EU most of the African countries run to for AIDS. So, for me, the special advisor to the president on special duties, strategy and communications, Dele Alake, is simply doing his job to defend the mandate his principal has, even though he's still challenging the court of law. But, I mean, one doesn't expect the presidency or INEC to also keep quiet and admit that, yes, we had a very flawed elections and all that. I saw Festus Okoye to defend the INEC, you know, yesterday frantically, but Nigerians know the truth. We all know the truth that that election was seemingly automated, but it's arguably the worst election we've had since 1999.
When you have bodies, just as I mentioned earlier, AU, ECOWAS, NBA, and as against just the European Union, the others have come out to say, yes, it was this and that, but the European Union have had the courage to come out to say it lacked certain things and what have you. Now, are we not watching our data linear in the open when it comes to the electoral process that brings in one governor, one president, one in Nigeria over the years? Because I see it as very embarrassing when you have reports like this that is going all over the world. What does this make for the electoral umpire, INEC, in this great nation? Can they be trusted?
I would even have expected the international agencies who every 4 years come here to observe our elections to get tired and say, oh, there's no point going to Nigeria again because those elections will be manipulated. Let's go back to 2007 when the late President Yar'Adua assumed office. He said on national TV that the election that brought him to office was flawed and all that. This was 16 years ago.
Yes.
One wouldn't have expected us to have the kind of misgivings and reservations most Nigerians and international agencies have against INEC 16 years after. We had similar reports in fact, the reports in 2019 had videos to support what went wrong with the 2019 general elections. Here we are in 2023, the same complaint. I'm not wishing Nigeria bad. I'm not praying for any evil to happen to anybody, but I can assure you that when we get to 2027, the same thing will see play out. My prayer is just that things should, be improving every election cycle. And I'm sure one day, one day, we will have elections that will be flawless.
Let's look at all these, because I want us to, let me leave a little bit of the EU story aside. And let's just, on a general note here, elections is around the corner. 4 years is going to be here any moment from now. What do you feel the federal government, the electoral umpire, should be doing to correct all these anomalies that we've had over the years, for quite a whole lot of years now, from 1999 to 2023? What should they be doing to, look, let's better the lots of what we do here come 2027?
In 2019, we didn't have beavers. Yes. We had I've forgotten the name.
Card readers.
Card readers. In 2023, we had beavers, which was an improvement on the card readers.
Yes.
I expect INEC to immediately embark on a process that will lead to us having Nigerians' votes, and those votes, instead of the 2023 election, electoral officers had to upload forms.
Yes,
on the
yes.
I mean, technology has gone far beyond that. We should have a system whereby once you vote at your polling unit or in the comfort of your bedroom, those results automatically go to a portal where all Nigerians can see. That way, nobody can say they are bringing one local government out of 9 and all that. We still have, such. We had such in 2023. You understand? So what I think INEC should embark on now is to make sure that they upgrade their system and put a system in place whereby we can vote electronically in 2027. That way, we would have eliminated all issues of the results are not complete. One is manipulated, and even that will also boil down to election petition tribunals. We will have, yes, in 2023 we now have a lesser number of litigations at petition tribunals across board, which for me is an improvement on the next side. But when we vote electronically, our politicians will not have any reason to approach electoral petition tribunals. So that's the way. That's what I think INEC should do.
I'm looking at this point here. The witness of INEC while he was talking at the petitions tribunal yesterday, and he said only 31% of the presidential election result was uploaded onto INEC result viewing portal. Now, he also admitted that there was a technical glitch that affected the uploading of the presidential election results, which was not reported to Amazon Web Services by the Commission. The Amazon, they were the ones that did the installations and what have you. But just as you rightly stated, why was it just with the presidential? The senatorial, we didn't have some governorship in other states. We didn't have. Are we looking at manipulations up in here? And could anything be reversed? Do you feel?
Definitely there are manipulations. I keep mentioning rivers. Why do I keep mentioning rivers? Is because I have a lot of friends. I have lived in rivers before. I have a lot of friends in Delta too. Even before that election, told me that Peter Obi was going to win in Delta. I argued, but when the election was
the results came
not even when about 2 days before the election, I started calling around to sample opinion, and I felt out of every 10 people you call in Delta, about 8 or 9 were saying it was Peter Obi. Already, and eventually happened in PDP states, where the vice presidential candidate of the PDP hailed from. The same thing with Rivers. The same thing with, and if you look at the trend of the elections, you had a situation where I think the only states Peter Obi did not win in the South were Rivers and Cross River.
Okay, yes.
Rivers and Cross River.
I think so.
So, if you look at the trend in that zone, 6 states, and then you now have 1 state where the APC claimed to have won. Nigerians are not dumb.
Yeah, no.
You understand? So, my point is, that election was flawed. I'm not the cases are the petition, election petitions tribunal, but I'm 100% sure that Labour Party won in Rivers. There are instances like that are bound everywhere, in the north, in the south, in the east, and everywhere. And then the Labour Party results in the southeast too. It can be contested, where you have a candidate having 97%, 98%. I knew Peter Obi was a religion in the southeast, but however, 97% when you had about 4, 5, 6, 7 different parties contesting. So there was something, there were some things wrong with that particular electoral process.
We'll keep our fingers crossed as the Tinubu's team of defense would open up their defense later today. Well, let's look at before we call it a wrap here. In the final report presented by the EU, they declared that the election was below expectations. Do you concur to that?
I agree with them.
Wow. In what way can we now step up to be at least above board to an extent? Because it's so people like us, where we are so passionate about this dear nation, and when you travel abroad, you know what it looks like when they hear you're a Nigerian. The way they look at you, the way they treat us at the airport and things like that. How can this be corrected, if it can ever be corrected?
I noticed some things in the 2023 general elections.
All right.
We had beavers. We claimed to upload our EC8, A, B, C, D on the RF portal and all that. Yet, we still have collation centers where electoral officers need to bring spreadsheets, to read the results out and then add totals and all that. Those are the areas where I feel INEC did not get things right. If you use Excel, for instance, the moment you key in figures in each of the columns and all that, it automatically adds up whatever you have
automatically, yes.
So if I can vote and my vote goes to the portal automatically adds up the results from each of the constituencies, whether it's states, local governments, federal constituency, senate, or even the presidency. We didn't have that in 2023. So because of that, that electoral process fell below expectations of so many Nigerians, including myself.
Should the presidential election petitions tribunal should they have taken the EU's report as an exhibit at this moment?
They shouldn't have. It's not, like I said, it's not, I'm not a lawyer, but I think it's not admissible. What does the report have to do with results of an election? There has not been any election in this country that didn't have its own flaws, right from the Second Republic, Third Republic, and all that. So for an international agency to write a report with only 40 observers on ground, where you had, I think, about 90 million registered voters and all that, is not potent enough to sway judgment in any way.
Because I look at the large number of polling units, 176,000 polling units all over Nigeria, and you just have 40 observers here and there. And covering Nigeria is so large, so very large. Because let me just bring us back a little bit, and because I remember there was a time I was doing something for a brewing company, and I was traveling all over Nigeria. One year I was able to go to about I think 28, 29 states, and looking at the expanse of land, and just people would say the corridors where you have polling units, the area. And we just have 40 to cover 176,000. And then you're coming out with this kind of report. Are they not trying to cause tension, chaos?
But the same thing applies to the other agencies too. They also don't come to Nigeria with more than maybe 40, 50 observers. So how do 40 to 50 observers conclude that an election was similarly credible? So if we want to blame the EU, we should also apportion the same blame to the other international agencies. They are not, all of them don't have enough observers to say exactly what happened. They only have pockets of evidences to back whatever reports they write up. So in any case, Nigerians too don't usually rely on reports of international agencies, because we all know that they don't have that capacity to judge an election in all ramifications with those few observers on ground. So for me, it doesn't change the fact that INEC fell below expectations of Nigerians generally. Even in Osun here, you'll be shocked when you see polling units in some areas, just in our local Osun here. So talk less of the whole Nigeria.
I'm looking at, I just hope come 2027, even if it's not 100%, let's get closer.
It can't be 100%.
Let's get closer to probably something better in Nigeria. And Nigerians seem to have learned a great lesson with this last election that just came up, because looking at the candidates this time around, probably if someone like the LP presidential candidate, Peter Obi, had probably been the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, probably it could have been an upset or thereabout. And Nigerians might probably not be seeing all these litigations, petitions tribunal, or what have you. 2027, do we see formidable? Let's just assume that looking at the way Mr. President has started his work at this moment in time, do we see something much more interesting? Because I would say the last election that we had, February and March election, they were kind of very, very funny. I don't want to, no, funny is not the word, but they were something that every Nigerian at a point in time said, look, we are coming out to do something great. But looking at the first 1 month of Mr. President at this moment in time, and moving forward, do we see anybody being able to upset the ruling party come 2027 if looking at what he's doing right now?
Why not? I mean, I stated the results of the last election earlier when I was passing the comments. President Tinubu had 8 point something. He had less than 30-something% of total number of votes cast in the last election. So he's ruling with less than 40% nod of Nigerians. The opposition did not put its house in order in the last election. Why did I say so? We had a Kwankwaso who was of the PDP stock before. We had an Atiku who was on the PDP stock before. We had Peter Obi who was also, I mean, at a point in time joined, if I was the vice president candidate
then
in 2019. We had 3 of them going 3 separate ways. Former Vice President Atiku had 6.9 million votes. Former Governor Peter Obi had 6 million votes. And then former Governor Rabi Kwakwanso had 1 point something million votes. So if you pull those votes together, they actually votes of the opposition. If the opposition had only one house in the last election, today, by 12 o'clock on February 25, the election will have been concluded. President Tinubu could never have a mad president. But going forward, we know those set of politicians who have been automatically retired now, based on the results from the 2023 elections. It's now left for the, relatively new breed ones to come together if they actually want to pose a formidable opposition to President Tinubu. Don't forget, my brothers in the APC usually like to, up to now, they like to separate former President Buhari from the APC. Buhari's 8 years was APC's 8 years. So Nigerians are still groaning. We have not survived what we went through under former President Buhari. I mean, in just 1 month, look at the huge number of revelations that have come out of how President Buhari's disciples plundered the resources of this nation. The thing he did not have that ball to do in 8 years, like the subsidy removal, like the forex unification, like all those, have been done by one man who is just less than 30 days in office. And we call him a former soldier. President Tinubu does not have any military background. So, but however, it doesn't remove the fact that there will be a formidable opposition to President Tinubu in 2027.
Thank you. Let's this story of the EU, we just hope things will get better. Let's look at, you're a member of the People's Democratic Party, and a staunch one for that matter. Let's look at, let's leave bias out of this now, and let's be specific to get the nation moving forward. 1 month of PBAT in Nigeria. Is it the usual standard, the usual practice that the first few months we tend to be very good and what have you? And remembering, in years and years of in the history of this great nation, Nigeria, this is the first man that intended to be president, not someone we've gone to pick from his heart. Let's look, come and be our presidential candidate. This is one man that says, I want to. It's his ambition. It was his dream. And looking at what he's doing right now, do you see a future for Nigeria under this administration? Let's just look at in these 4 years, assuming nothing happens at the Election Petitions Tribunal right now. What do you make of it?
I'm not a politician that speaks ill of my country. 30 days is not enough to judge how far President Tinubu will go. However, he's not the first person that's clearly showed intention to rule this country. President Buhari was a former head of state. He contested in 2003, contested in 2007, contested in 2011, before he finally won in 2020. So one would have expected such a person to be prepared for the kind of role he fought for all these years. But hey, do a scorecard of President Buhari's 8 years in office. It was a total disaster for me. That's my assessment of what happened. So I would not, because someone said Emilio want to be president. I think most of them, for me, they only want those offices as a kind of fulfillment for their dreams over the time and all that. I pray that it succeeds. But like I said earlier, things are very, 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 very bad. How he wriggles his way out of our current situation is what is left for anyone to imagine. But however bad President Tinubu, or good, let me say, however bad he may have performed at the end of his 4 years, I'm sure it will not be as bad as that of President Buhari. He will make a better president. Looking at his antecedents, being a governor in Lagos State, just one state compared to you being overseer to over 36 states at this moment in time. Do we see changes? We've seen some actions. Looking at what he did with the central bank governor, first of all, booted him out and got him arrested. The EFCC young man, Abdul Rashid Bawa, booted him out. And look, all this set of, these were things previous governments failed to do. President Buhari did the same. When he came, he got Dasuki arrested. He got a host of PDP members arrested for fraud or corruption or something. By the end of the day, someone who so much-mouthed corruption as one of the 3 pillars of his administration just looked away while his lieutenants were looting the nation dry. And when I say looting, have you read the report by Falano on the Ministry of Interior and all that? How on earth would such humongous level of corruption happen right under your nose? And these are agencies that report directly to the office of the president. So for me, the first initial gragra of 30 days or 90 days for Nigerians does not, for instance, petrol ranges between 488 in Lagos and 5 something in Abuja and Port Harcourt and all those places. And the government has not come up with any solution to, ameliorate the problems of the citizens. And Nigerians are very stubborn people. We have quickly adjusted to, I know a number of people that have packed their cars. And even if you want to take Okada from where we are now to maybe Abere, you will spend it as much as 1,000. Absolutely. How much do people earn? The minimum wage still remains 30,000. The government has not provided any, these things I'm mentioning, the palliatives and all that, they don't take forever. And I, as an economist, I believe these are also things that should have been put into consideration and probably done before the new price regime of finished petroleum products came into place. So Nigerians are watching. We are buying fuel at 500 naira. The tariffs for power has gone up. Forex that we said we unified has gone up. Not even, it's not fully unified yet, but it's even, the dollar is even more expensive now to purchase than when President Buhari was there. So how President Tinubu manages these 3 major situations and brings some relief to Nigerians is what everybody is expecting. I remember while the Council of Obas visited him and the Sultan of Sokoto spoke and said he doesn't envy him at this moment in time. It's a tough one. Very, it's a tough one. Is there a way out? And are there heads to roll? Are there legs to look? What I like about him that he's doing is that he's not making unnecessary noise about corruption. You don't have to make noise. There are ways you can check corruption without even, involving the media. The INEC we talked about before. The moment INEC allows Nigerians to vote electronically, all forms of malpractices will automatically, be wiped away. So if President Tinubu, what he did in Lagos as per revenue, can be transformed to one we have at the national level, I just hope Nigerians have that purchasing power to cooperate with the government. If he's able to automate most of these systems, it will eventually bring some relief. When and how is what Nigerians are really, really interested in. Because let me give you an instance, for instance. Petrol currently is about 500, average price of 500 naira all over the nation. The moment, it was a shame when I saw President Buhari commissioning the Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited in Lagos. Why did I say so? We had 4 refineries, which 2 of them were actually built by him. And he could not do anything about those refineries for the whole of 8 years. And then we now started subsidizing FX for just one man, completed his own refinery, and we all wore our agbada and went there to commission. You understand? Let's leave that aside. By the time Dangote starts production, it's about 650,000 barrels a day capacity. Nigerians don't consume more than that, really. All those figures we see on the subsidy, whatever, are bloated. So by the time it commences operations, it means that we will only simply take crude from the Niger Delta through pipes, get them down to Dangote refinery, and then it produces. The cost will drastically come down. At that time, we may not necessarily need to import. So it relieves the pressure on the crude. It also relieves the pressure on the foreign exchange. Foreign exchange can now be applied to the things that they are meant for. And then President Tinubu should also look into the modular refineries for which licenses have been issued for over 10 years. A modular refinery, for instance, can serve the whole of Osun Central Senatorial District without us getting to Ikire or getting to Ibadan. They should look at all those and see how we can. There is nothing that is about machines that is not serviceable. Those 4 refineries can also be brought back to life. That way, petrol affects virtually every facet of our life in this country. So if the price comes down, more relief for Nigerians.
Yeah, Shegun Adebi, the one we call Abijah in here. I'd like to thank you always for your brilliant analysis on any of the shows we bring you on. Thank you most sincerely. Thank you. I had to wake you up and disturb you this morning. That will be the show for today. God promises, God willing rather, I will be back again tomorrow on another edition of the program Morning Spring. I want to thank you on behalf of my entire transmission team. We'll be here. Tunde IDOWU is my name. Good morning.